Hey everybody, it's Karen with Food and Family. It's a couple of days after Christmas, and I don't know if you guys are like us. We're tired of eating holiday food. So we're ready for something different. And today I'm going to make a homemade beef stew. And I'm going to make it out of a chuck roast that I had in my freezer. I defrosted it. And so we're going to cut it up in chunks. We'll flour it, we'll brown it, put the rest of our goodies in it. So let's get started. Now, first of all, I don't cut my raw meat on my wooden boards. So get you a plastic board to put your meat on. And that way you don't have to worry about, you just don't want raw meat on it. You don't have to worry about it. So we're going to cut it up into chunks. And we'll flour it. Well, first we'll salt and pepper it, then we'll flour it. We're going to brown it up real good. And according to how big you want your chunks. And I'm just going to cut it this way first. And then I'll go down and cut it into my little chunks. And we'll get it all seasoned and ready to go. It doesn't take long. You can cook it on top of the stove or you can do it in your oven. I've done them in my oven before. I do them on top of the stove, just depending on the mood I'm in. Doesn't take much difference in time either way. Now I'm cutting out that big piece of fat. You can leave some in it, but I just didn't want a whole lot of fat in it. So I'm going to take that out, discard it, and trim this off right here. You can have your butcher at your grocery store. He'll cut it up for you if you want, or you can buy stew meat. I like to do it this way, and when I've got a chuck roast, and cut it up myself, and that way I can make my sizes as big as I want. But you can also tell your butcher how big you want them. And this is about like I want. It's about an inch size. And some may be bigger than others, some smaller. Doesn't matter. It's going to all cook together. We're going to let this simmer for a couple hours or so. And we'll have it for dinner tonight. And so tell me, what did you guys do for the holidays? We had our family and our children and our grandchildren, and we just had the best time. Loves getting with my grands and seeing my grands. One's off at college, so he's home for his break. So I have so enjoyed spending the time with him. And it's just a special time for me when I can be with my children, as I'm sure it is with you. So we'll get this cut up. So I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch me cut up this whole roast. So I'll get this cut and I'll be back in just a minute with you, okay? Okay, so we got all of our stew meat cut up. Wow, look at that. That's a big old pile of meat that came from that chuck roast. So we're going to get this, a little salt and pepper on this, get it all seasoned up, and we're going to flour it. And then we're going to brown it. I've got my pot heating here. I need to rinse my hands, y'all. Got our pot heating up. I'm going to put a little oil in it. And then we're going to get our meat floured, and we'll start browning it. So I put, that's probably a couple of tablespoons of oil. And it's going to take it because this flour from this beef is going to soak up that oil. So I may have to add more as I go along. So we'll just have to see. So I'm going to put some flour in I'm using a pie plate here to put my flour in. Then we're going to season get it all seasoned. Remember, I've told you before, we're going to season every level. We're going to put some salt and pepper in our flour, but we're going to also salt. Y'all, I'm out of kosher salt, so I'm using table salt. That's okay, it all works the same. So I'm going to salt and pepper our meat, and we're going to put some more stuff in it as we get it in the pot with our liquids. And but right now we're just getting the meat seasoned. So let's take our fingers, and my hands are clean. I washed them before I came on. You didn't see me wash them, but I promise you I did. Always use impeccably clean hands when we cook. Our hands are our best tools in the kitchen. God gave them to us, so we need to use them. Nothing wrong with using our hands to cook. So I run my meat in the flour, and I'm just going to shake off a little bit of that excess. But the flour on this meat is also going to help thicken our liquids. So we don't want a runny stew. You want it a little bit thick, but you don't want it too thick. You know, as I make a mess with flour, and I always do, I get it everywhere. So that's all right. That's what while we clean up after we cook, and we clean up as we go. Now, I'm not going to put all of this at one time in the pot. Reason being, if I do, the meat's not going to brown, and I want it to brown. If I put it all in at one time, if there's going to be a lot in there, and instead of browning up in that oil, it's just going to sit there and steam. Gray meat is not appealing. So I think we'll put just a little bit more, another little handful, and then we're going to get this browned up. Then we'll finish browning the other. Wash my hands up. Get all that flour off for a moment. Notice I said for a moment, because we're going to have to do this again. And so we've got a plate there. And I've got a clean plate, so when I take it out, I'm going to put it onto my clean plate. But in the meantime, I could have kept going. Let's go ahead and flour this. And it'll be ready when that comes out. And we can get this out of the way. So we'll set that there. And just keep going. Why didn't I think of that before washing my hands? You didn't have to tell me to. I get to talking and cooking sometimes, and I don't think ahead of myself like I should sometimes. Sometimes I do. Most of the time I do, but there's a couple of times right now. Anyway, when we get this done, I want to show you guys an old homemade cookbook that my mother-in-law's family made, and everybody in the family put in a recipe and put it together, and it's a treasure for us. She's no longer with us. They're no longer with us. Wash my hands again. So I want to kind of work on this book just a little bit, and get it in some good shape, and that way my children and our niece and nephew and the cousins might enjoy seeing it. So I know you can't see this yet. When I take it out, I'm going to show you what this beef looks like, so you can see what I'm talking about. You don't have to get it totally done. We just want it browned at this point, because remember, this is going to keep cooking, and it's going to cook for 2 or 3 more hours, depending on how tender the meat gets. And chuck is one of these cuts of beef that, if you don't cook it properly, it is tough as leather. It's one of these that you have to cook long, low, and slow. So I will cook a chuck roast 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, check it, and it may not be as tender as I want it, so I'll put it back in. Same thing in this case with this. Just let it cook on a low simmer, and not too low. You want it, bubbling, but simmer low for 2 or 3 hours, or possibly more, just depending on how long it takes to get that beef tender. So you'll want to check it after a couple of hours, and because there's nothing more disappointing than cooking a dish like this, and oh, you're so ready for it, and you're hungry, and the family standing there with their plates, and it's not going, and it's tough. So you don't want that. And we've all made that mistake. I have, and it's just started in time. You don't have to worry about rushing it up. And if you're in a rush, if you have an Instapot or some kind of electric pressure cooker like that, you can put it in there. I would suggest cooking it at about an hour in the Instapot, and then check it, let it depressurize, check it, and you may have to add some more time. Now, we're going to put potatoes and carrots in here. I may throw in a little bit of celery. Won't be a whole lot, but we like potatoes and carrots in our beef stew. But I won't put them in right now, and we'll put onions in now. And I'm going to put my onion in with my next batch, or I may wait, take it out, and then put my onion in. So I'm going to take this beef up. You see, it didn't take long to cook. This has been what, 2 or 3 minutes maybe, 4. I don't think it's been that long, maybe 3 minutes. I'm going to take it up. I'll set it aside, and we'll get our next batch. And yep, just like I suspected, we're going to need more oil. But that's okay. Now see how I'm getting that browned? Just coming along. You see how big I made my pieces? Get a good view of that. And they're not huge. But you want to get them cut, good bite size. And not too big that you got to worry about, oh, I need a knife to cut them up with. Hopefully you won't need a knife, because they're going to be tender. And but you don't want them too large. So let's get the rest of these in there. I think we can go ahead and put these in. We just don't want to fill it too much. Get rid of that plate. Oh no, that's great. Get it all down in that oil. Now while that's cooking, I'm going to cut my onion up. Now I'm going to cut it up, and I don't want really small pieces, because it's going to be cooking in this stew for a while, and if I cook them cut them up too small, they're just going to disintegrate into the stew, and you don't want that. They're going to cook away a lot anyway, but if you get bigger chunks, you'll be able to tell you've got some onion in it. And if you're not a big fan of onion, or have someone that's not, then cut them up a lot smaller, and it just gives the flavor. I promise you, they won't know this in there. I don't have to worry about that with my family, but I know people that don't care for onions. So if I cook for them, I just cut it up smaller. Tell them my secrets now. So see how I'm cutting it up about like that. So that won't cook away too much. So we're going to get this meat browned, and then I'll brown my onions, and then we're going to put it all together and put this meat back in. So I've got some tomato sauce, tomatoes. We're going to put a little bit of tomato paste in it. And I've got some spices. Then I'm thinking about what I might want to put in it. And I'm beef broth. I want to use some beef broth with it also. And I'm using the low sodium. It's 50% less sodium. I like to use that. And while that's cooking, we can open these cans. These are my Pop Top. Now, I'm not going to use this whole can of tomato paste. I'll only use about a tablespoon of that. And I'm going to put it in with my onions. If y'all don't let it get, I'll put it in with my onions and we'll let it cook around. And that way, you want to cook the tomato paste and let it cook a little bit. But instead of just putting raw tomato paste in there, and let it cook a little bit and get all those flavors out of it. And it'll taste better if you do that. So we're gonna, I know I've told y'all before, I'm not a big fan of diced tomatoes, chunks of tomatoes in certain foods, but I'm gonna put them in here. This is one of the few things I do put it in, and the husband likes it. If I don't want it, I can pick around it, and I'll look at it that way. And I need a little bit more oil in here, guys. See, that's the thing about it. If you start out with less, you can add more. But if you start out with too much, you can't take it out. And we don't want a greasy stew. It's going to have enough in it as it is from the meat itself being cooked like this. But we don't want to add a lot of grease to it, a lot of oil to it. So we're going to get this. It'll take another minute. I think we'll be good, and we can take this meat up. So it's looking good. If y'all could smell in here, smell in my kitchen, guys, y'all be coming over to eat with me. I'm not sure where you're living, but here in Alabama, we're in central Alabama, and it has gotten cold. The temperatures today warmed up a little bit into the 50s, but it's been Christmas Day, it was like 36 degrees, and our lows at night have been in the 20s. I think last night looking at the temperatures here, it was like 28, and that's cold for us. But our seasons here kind of all run together. We have long summers, really short spring, and well, maybe not so short spring because our winters are usually more like spring. And we jump from the summertime straight into our short winter into spring and summer again. So we often make the joke here, if you want to know what the weather's like in Alabama, give us a day, because you can go through all the seasons in one day. You may be wearing shorts in the morning, and come nighttime, you've got to bundle up in a heavy jacket. But we love living here. See, just this quick, now this meat's ready to come up. So let's take it out. This is looking so good, y'all, and so pretty. And that soaked up all that oil I put in. I didn't put in a whole lot the second time. Maybe a couple of tablespoons. But it's the flour that soaks it up. It just sucks it right up. It makes it feel good. Feel good. Tastes good, y'all. See, I told you sometimes my brain don't work when I'm doing. Okay, so that's all of our meat. I should have showed you that meat because sometimes some of my pieces had really good marbling in it, And you get that marble of fat through there, and it just gives it such good flavor. Now I cut out the big hunks. I didn't want the big hunks, so we cut out the little hunks. I needed some more oil. I think we're going to be good here. Now I'm going to put in my onion. We're going to cook it around for a minute. I'm not worrying about getting it cooked through either. Again, it's going to cook with, we'll put all of our stuff in. Let me get a spoon. And we're going to put just a little bit of salt in our onions. We season each layer, remember? I don't want to put much, I don't want to get it salty. And a little pepper. There's a white pepper. Stir that around. Put that down just a minute. And we're going to add probably about a tablespoon of this tomato paste. Now, with this leftover tomato paste, I like the tomato paste in the squeezy too, but I didn't have it. I had this. You can take this and put it in a freezer bag, put it in your freezer, and when you need tomato paste, just take it out and you can cut off from that, roll it like a log, cut off what you need, keep it back in the freezer, and you can keep it. So, it won't go to waste. So, we're going to put this, I'm going to stir this tomato paste around in these onions and let that cook a little bit. Let me hold this up here and show you. I showed you the meat, but after we took it out. See how I'm stirring that around in those onions? And, those out of my way, we don't need them. Stir those around in those onions and get that paste cooked a little bit. And, well, we got a bonus in that tomato. Looked like a little stem. Almost looks like a pepper. So, which would be good. So we're going to stir that around now. We don't want them cooked. They don't have to cook all the way through. Just a couple of minutes. Now, we're going to we're going to put our diced tomatoes in. We're going to put our tomato sauce in. And these are 15-ounce cans. The tomatoes were 14.5. Stir that a little bit. Now, before we put our broth in, I want to slide my meat back in because I don't want to put too much broth. And I'm afraid if I put it in first, I won't get my liquid measured out right. So we want to do that. We need that hot hand. Excuse me. So get that stirred in there. Oh, this is looking so good. Like I said, I'm not putting my carrots and potatoes in yet because I don't want those to cook away. I'll let this cook probably about an hour and a half, and then I'll put my potatoes and carrots in. See what that's looking like in there? If y'all could smell it. Ooh, it's smelling so good. So let's put some broth in. And what I'm going to do is I want it to come up, I'm going to say about an inch over all of that. I didn't use it all. I probably used, this is about 4 cups. I probably used close to 3.5. Stir that all up. And we're not going to add any salt at this, more salt at this point, because I salted the meat. I salted the onions, the tomatoes, the tomato paste, and the tomato sauce all have salt. Now I'm going to put a smidge of chili powder because I like the taste. And I'm going to put, about a teaspoon of chili powder. I don't want it to taste like chili. I'm making beef stew. Now this is optional and according to your taste. Red pepper, cayenne pepper. I'm going to put about a quarter of a teaspoon of that. We don't like it hot. We just like a little, you've got something in there. I'm going to add some paprika. The same, probably about a teaspoon. And garlic powder. I didn't have any fresh garlic, so I'm putting a little bit of garlic powder, about the same, probably about a teaspoon. You can come back, you can add what you want. You don't have to put any one of these, you don't have to put any of it. I would suggest putting a little bit of chili powder. It just gives it a little taste. And let's get that all stirred in. And you know what? I'm looking at this now, and I think I'm going to put the rest of that liquid in. So that's going to make 4 cups of beef broth that I'm putting in. And if I see it needs more as it cooks, I'll add more, or I'll just add a little water to it because we've got our flavors in it. Now you can add, if you don't have any beef broth and you've got bouillon cubes, by all means use it. Or if you've got the base, use it. Just be careful with the base because it's salty. So you don't want to, I know I talk about salt a lot and I'm a big salt lover, but you can get them too salty and it's just too salty and it won't taste good. So we'll taste this after a while. I'm not going to taste it right now because I want to get all those seasonings in that meat and the tomatoes all in there and married together, and all those flavors will come out as it cooks. So I'm going to let this simmer for a bit. I'm going to clean up and then I'll come back and we'll see how it's coming along, okay? I'll see you in a little bit. Well, I forgot to show you what I was going to show you a while ago. So I'm back. I put a lid on our pot, and I'm going to get it to come up to a simmer, and then I'll just cock that lid a little bit, or I'll leave it on and cut it down as low as I can. But here's the cookbook I was telling you guys about. See, this is, I don't even know what kind of paper this is. It looks like a manila folder to me. And it's been 3-hole punched or 2-hole punched, and it's got yarn holding it together. Now, isn't that special? And it says Belle Kirkpatrick, Cooking with the Kissing Cousins. And I say every one of them, but they all, and so here's a piece that fell out. But they all, the family went in and put, typed up recipes and put it in this book. May 18th, 1975. So, it says, greetings from Berta and Elnora. To everyone who contributed recipes for the second issue of the family cookbook, we say thank you so much and may you enjoy many hours of fun and pleasure using the recipes. We dedicate this book to W.C. Kirkpatrick. He has been most interested in our work of typing and getting this book ready for print, and it's helped us in many ways so we could finish the job. We have enjoyed our part in our cookbook, and we appreciate everyone's help. May 1975. And it's just precious to me to have this. Now, they put little things in here. They had a prayer. They got the Sportsman's Prayer. It's an author unknown. Mileposts, that's by Anonymous. Robert Louis Stevenson, keep your fears to yourself, but share your courage with others. What a fitting quote for times like this. Here's one by Lawrence. All things are possible to him who believes. They are less difficult to him who hopes. They are easy to him who loves, and they are simple to anyone who does all three. How perfect is that? So, and there's just a lot of little quotes in here, and prayers and sayings. So I'm going to try to do some of these recipes and bring them to you guys in the future. Here's one, pinto bean cake. This sounds strange being pinto bean. I've never heard of this before, y'all. It's sugar, margarine, egg, 2 cups of cooked pinto beans mashed, soda, baking soda, flour, salt, cinnamon, cloves, apples, raisins, pecans or walnuts, vanilla, and they make a frosting and put it on there. We're going to have to try this. And there's all kinds of recipes, guys. Cucumber pickles, brandy balls. That would be good at holidays. Fudge, boiled icing, meatloaf. My husband loves meatloaf. In fact, Christmas, we were sitting here. My daughter-in-law made the comment to give my husband meatloaf or spaghetti and fried okra. Not at the same meal. Those are his 3 favorite things to eat, and he's a happy man. You don't have to cook anything else for him. And Husband's Delight, bachelors like it too. It's a ground beef recipe, and it's got tomato sauce, onions, noodles, sour cream, cream cheese, cheddar cheese, garlic, salt, sugar to taste because of the I'm sure because of the tomato sauce. There's 2 cans of tomato sauce. They don't tell you how big the cans are, so I'm going to assume they're like this size tomato sauce that we were using. And this is just, to me, this book is a treasure, you guys. And if any of you out there watching know me, you know how much I love cookbooks, how much I love to cook. So this is special to me. Orange oatmeal cake. We love oatmeal cake. I've listened to this. Recipe for a happy family. 1 cup of freedom. 1 1/2 cups helping others. 1 whole picture of love. 1 whole family, not separated. 2 tablespoons of belonging. 4 teaspoons of fun. 2 1/2 cups of success. 1/2 cup of cleanliness inside and out. 1 cup of honesty. 1/4 cup of understanding. How beautiful. Enough work to reach your goal. Mix all ingredients together until well blended into a small body. Store extra amounts in school, church, home life, neighborhood, cities, and nation. We don't have enough of that. If you use daily amounts through a whole lifetime, a happy home is guaranteed. Not only for you, but perhaps for some people near and dear to you. Yield 1 large portion of happiness for each family member. The author is unknown. Anyway, we're going to try some of these recipes. And this is 2nd volume. There is another one that they made. It's a little smaller than this one. But we're going to get them all out, and we're going to work on these. And try to get these all done. But anyway, my stew, while I've sat there and yammered, my stew has come up to a simmer. Oops, let's move this. I don't want to lose that. So that's handwritten. It's special. So it's simmer. I'm going to stir it a little bit, and I'm going to turn the heat down. And I'm going to let this simmer away. If y'all could see, this is thick and rich. I'm going to hold it up, but I don't know how good you can see. Thick and rich. And we're going to let it simmer away and let that meat get tender and done. Then we're going to come back and put some potatoes and carrots in it, and we're going to be ready to have us a wonderful meal after a while. So let me get this done, and I'll be back later with you, and we'll get it all finished up, okay? All right, I'll see you later. Hey everybody, we're back. Now I want to show y'all how tender this beef is. It's been simmering about 2 hours now, and I just checked it a minute ago, and it is, if I can get a piece up on the spoon, it is so tender. Looky here. Now I'm gonna, can you see how soft that is? And I am just barely putting any effort on that. And so that beef is tender, and that's what you want. You don't want a piece of beef in your stew that you've just got to chew to death to eat it. So now that's ready. We're going to put some carrots and potatoes. I've got my potatoes peeled. I'm on my last one, and we're going to get them cut up. I don't want them in little chunks, but not huge. But again, we're trying to go for bite size, and get them put in there, and I'll let it simmer probably about 30 more minutes. And all that's going to do is soften that beef up even more. Get that bad spot out of that potato. I don't like the way that looks. So let's get rid of this peel. I'm going to rinse this potato a little bit, and we'll get to cutting it up. So there's still some more in there. That happens sometimes. We're cooking. That's how big I want them. See, about like that. And just drop them on in. And well, I was going to show you the onion. It didn't totally disintegrate, but it does cook down. So you still don't have big chunks of onion. If you can see some right there, you still don't have big chunks of onion in your stew if you have somebody that's not a big onion lover. And it gives it that flavor. I would use it, and I said they're not going to know the difference. It's just going to give it a little flavor. And so we'll sneak it in on them. It's like sneaking vegetables in on children. You do everything you can just to get the vegetables in them right. So you guys, I was telling you about reading you some of that cookbook a while ago, and from the family, there's another cookbook that I didn't bring out for you guys, and it's from 1964, and the famous Belle Kirkpatrick and the family made that cookbook as well. So I'd like to go through it, pick out some recipes, and make them for you guys. We may have to update them a little bit, but we're going to see what we can do about that. And there's some really neat recipes and poems and quotes in it. It's all just a lot of fun. So anyway, so we got our potatoes in, so let's give it a big stir. And I did taste this before I came back on, and I think I am going to add just a little bit of salt. I'm not going to add much, but I think it needs a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in now, and those potatoes will absorb some of the salt. That might have been another half a teaspoon, you guys. And So let's get that stirred in. I don't know if you can see how thick this has gotten. So, can you see anything there, how thick that is? I don't know if you can tell from that spoon or not, but it has thickened up nicely, which is what you want. Now, these are some carrots that I had left over from Christmas. It's carrot sticks. I don't know how many of them I'm going to use, and I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to put them in the stew, and we're going to cut them up about like that, or I would cut up rings of carrots and about quarter to half inch thick. So I don't have that. This is what I've got. So we're going to use this. I couldn't see not using them since we've got them. My husband loves carrots and stews and pot roasts, and so I always put a little extra in for him. And me, I'm not as crazy about them, but it's another one of those things, as I had said earlier, I can pick around it. He likes it, so I'm not going to leave it out. And but we'll get this stirred up here in a minute and see how many more I need. Let's see. Let's check this out. Oh no, we're gonna need, we may use this whole thing. And don't take but a minute to chop them up. You don't have to be precise with it, just chop. We're going to taste that again in just a second, because I make sure I got enough little extra salt that I wanted in there. Put it in there to your taste. That's what I put in mine. So, stir this up. Ooh, y'all, it's looking so good in here. This pot of stew. So yummy. Now, look here. We gotta cook it. But look. Get you a big old bite of all of that in your bowl. Now, you could, at this point, if you wanted to, we're just gonna put it in our bowl and eat it. And we may have some crackers with it. We may make a grilled cheese, or we may not have anything but stew. But you can make you a big old pot of cheesy grits, serve it over them. That would be great. I've got potatoes in it. If you wanted to serve it over mashed potatoes, you could. That would be really good too. If I did that, I may leave the potatoes out of the stew. Or crumble you up, make you some cornbread, put it in there. That would be great as well. So I'm going to get this simmering in about 30 more minutes, and I think we're going to be ready to eat. So hang in with me. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Hey y'all, we're back, and I believe our stew is done. So let's give it a check and see. Oh, it smells so good. I know we've been smelling it, and we're getting hungry. So my husband just asked, when are we going to eat? So I'm ready to feed him. So I want to check it. I've got a knife I've been checking with, and look how it just slides right through that potato. Look, just right through that carrot. And of course, we already know how tender the meat is. Look, I'm barely pushing on that meat. So we are ready to serve it up. I'm going to dish up some and show you what it looks like. I've got this. You can put it in a bowl, And I've got these deep-sided dishes that we can put it in. That's just stew where I had set something down. So let's serve it up here. Can y'all see this beautiful plate of goodness? You can put it in a bowl if you want to. I'm going to put it in these plates here so we can get in it and it'll cool a little quicker for us. Potatoes, let's give him some extra carrots because he loves his carrots. They're good for you. Looky there. Oops. Now look at that gorgeous plate. Yeah, I don't know if you could get any better than that on a cold, wintry day. Let's give it a taste. You know how soft and tender that beef is. So let's get a potato and a little bite of beef. We got to cool it off. It's hot, and can you see that steam coming off from it? We can't eat that right now. If you wanted to, you could add some green peas in this. That would give it a lot of color, make it really pretty, and would be good too. You would want to use some frozen green peas and put them right at the end. They're cooked, so, and once you put it in, they thaw immediately, stir it around a couple of minutes, and they're good to go. It's hot, y'all. So good. I'm glad I put that last half a teaspoon of salt in there. It really needed it. So altogether, I put probably a teaspoon or just over a teaspoon of salt additional, other than what I put on the meat, you know, when we were seasoning it, and a little bit in the flour so we could dredge the beef in the flour, and then a little bit in that and onions as we cooked them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I know I enjoy making them for you, and I hope you enjoy watching them. And please like and share my page. I would very much appreciate it. And you'll find me on Facebook under Food and Family, YouTube is Food and Sign Family, and I would certainly appreciate it. And look for my homemade beef stew recipe. And I don't know when I'll get to do my next video. Hopefully I'll get to do one soon. We're having to have some work done here in the kitchen. We had a water leak, and the line going to the ice maker and the refrigerator had two tiny pinholes. They said they weren't even as big around as a hair, and it's leaked water that's gotten between the subflooring and the hardwood floors, and it's we've got to have some work done, and it's all got to be ripped out and redone. So I don't know how long that's going to take, and I'm not sure when they're going to get started. We've had a contractor out looking at it, and they're doing some things now to try to dry it up a little bit. So that's a big job, and it's got to be done though. So, but I'm going to try to do as much as I can before they get started. And again, I want to I appreciate you listening to me about the cookbooks that earlier from my husband's side of the family, and I hope we can get some of those recipes made. I'll sit down and go through, try to make a list. And I was talking to one of my sons, and he's very much interested in trying to do them with me. So I think it's going to be fun. But anyway, I appreciate every one of you, and I appreciate you watching my videos, sharing my videos, liking them. So let's keep it up. Hit the notification bell, subscribe on YouTube, and you'll know when I'm going to be posting a video. So until next time, y'all stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you as soon as I can. Bye.